Good morning, everyone. Good to see everyone. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I'm going to get you pulled up here on my comments. Just give me just a second here. The volume turned down. And there we go. Okay, so let me pull up the right screens. Get ES up on the screen here. Let me check my camera. Make sure that's good. So just one of you in here right now, usually right around open is when everybody joins us. We will get ready to see what they want to do with the market this morning. Remove that because we'll be putting in a new one here in about 2.5 minutes. Hey, Chandra. Good to see you. Right now, you're the only one in here. Normally, right around open, we end up with about 4 to 5, and then sometimes we get up around 7 or 8 during the morning. There's somebody else just joined us. Still got about 2 minutes before market open. Interested to see what they're going to do this morning. Obviously, we had this this big run up, right? This big run up, and then we just sort of leveled out starting around 11:30, and then on through the night into this morning. I've seen a lot of people who think they're going to go ahead and ramp it higher this morning, but obviously we're not going to make any guesses. We'll watch and see what they do. I thought maybe they were going to try to drop it when they broke below the 20 here. They got underneath these 2 wicks, but then they could not get underneath these 2 wicks. You see, that's where they caught support, kind of bounced it back up to the 20. So we'll see if the 20 is going to act as resistance or if they're going to reclaim it and try to take it higher. We have a resistance level just above here at 25.8975. And let's see what we have above that, as we've got about 45 seconds to go. Then it's up to 26.3050 above there. So I'll kind of leave that on the screen. See, we got a couple more people joining us. Welcome this morning. We have just under 30 seconds to go. We were just talking about what they might want to do with the market this morning. I would say the consensus on Twitter is that they're going to continue upward this morning. But we, of course, are not going to assume. We're going to see what they do with it. So here we go. There's the bell. 25.75, 25. Okay, 25.75, 25. Get my opening level drawn in. Hope everyone had a great weekend. It was a beautiful weekend around here. And it's supposed to be beautiful today as well. Good morning, Sunny. I got alerts going off like crazy. We'll watch the market first, though. Obviously, as I put in the market, or excuse me, put in the room, pretty much everything in the market was gapping up fairly significantly today. As you look over here on the advancers early, we're already at 25.50, which is extremely bullish. Now, that's meaning that they gapped up from where they closed on Friday. So, now that doesn't mean anything, right? Right? That doesn't mean that the market's just going to take off and go up. I mean, big money, the institutions can do anything they want with this. So, I was experimenting with something over the weekend and not quite ready to kind of release it and say, hey, this is something I'm going to watch from now on. But I'll just tell you guys, obviously the premium folks, what it is. Watching the relative volume, and actually I should have it up. I'm sorry. Let me see why it's not showing up on my screen. Give me a second. And then I'll tell you why that's important. Let's see here. Relative volume. And we want to set it. Okay, I'm going to set it. I'm trying some different things out. So I'm going to show you what my setting is for now. It may change. So a 30 period, so that means the last 30 candles, and I want it to go green. Excuse me. I want it to go green if it goes over 2.5 times. So, and then it'll stay red if it's below. And I'll show you what I mean. Give me 1 second here. We apply. Okay, so it gives you this line right here. This dotted line is 2.5 times. So you see over here, this is green. Okay, it only turns green if it goes above 2.5 times the average volume for the last 30 candles. All right, so far we're not there yet. Now, if I hover over this, this will tell me, you know, where we're at right now. Right now we're at about 2.2, right, which is still pretty significant. But what we're looking for on these different names are very significant moves. In fact, I'd probably like to see it even a little bit more, but I'm going to start. I'm going to play around with this. I've never been a volume trader, and I'm not going to go into it right now. I mean, volume itself at certain times of the day, and that's what I'm getting at here. I'm going to play around with this at certain times of the day. It's more important the first hour of the day and the last, say, hour and a half or so of the day. Or maybe, like, say, from 2 p.m. on, 2 p.m. Into close. But what you're looking for, now it went green, so that means the volume on this opening candle is already 2.5 times the average volume over the last 30 candles, right? Yes, Sonny, you're absolutely correct. Going to be a short week. Okay, so we won't have any regular market open on Friday. However, I have to check because I always want to say, for some reason, and I have to double check this, that the currency markets, because they're worldwide, I don't know if they observe the same holidays. I think they observe less holidays, so we'll double check that. There's a lot of times when our markets in the U.S. are closed, the currency markets, forex, is still open, but we'll double check that. Okay, so here we are so far. Okay, so far moving to the downside. It started up just a little bit. okay, not much, and now it's working down. And as I said before we ever opened, it seemed like the consensus is that we were going to continue up this morning. I saw a lot of people talking about how bullish they felt the market was going to be. And that's a wide range of people. Some people I respect, some people I think are kind of out there a little bit. But there were some people that thought we might sell off this morning as well. But I would just say that the consensus was we were going to go up. So we're watching it here. See, we got somebody else. We're up to 5. Welcome, whoever that is. And we're just watching right now to see what ES is going to do before we look at a few other things. And so again, getting back to this this relative volume, as you can see, it's now significantly past the 2.5 setting that I have. That's just what turns it green, and then it'll continue up from there. So right now we're clear up around 3.5, 3.6, right? See that? Almost 3.7. Okay, now this this is important when you have a theory on a move. Okay, so I'm just making something up. So maybe your theory was that we were going to go down, right? This is not buy volume. Green just means that we have entered into the territory. For me, I have it currently set at 2.5 times average volume. And what is the setting? That's over the last 30 candles. So I'm on a 30-minute chart. So right now, we're clear up here, almost there it is, 3.8, 3.81, 3.82. So that means the volume on this first candle is almost 4 times what it's been over the last 30 candles. All right? So if your theory is that you're gonna be moving short, and you see this kind of volume, this what we would consider above average volume, going in your direction, that should, in theory, again, in theory, I'm testing this out to see how often it plays out, it should further give you confidence in your move. Okay, Sonny's saying maybe bullish the rest of the week. We don't know, right? In fact, we don't want to guess. When we start making assumptions like that, that's when people get trapped. Okay, when people start, and Sonny, I'm not obviously picking on you. We're all guilty of that. When we start saying things like maybe we're going to be bullish the rest of the week, our mind starts to think that way. So that's how people get trapped, because then they start thinking, okay, I want to make bullish plays because I think it's going to be bullish the rest of the week. And what happens if we have a total sell-off? Okay, people get trapped that way. Or they lose confidence because they thought the market was going to go one direction, and then the market starts moving the other direction and doesn't turn around. Now we know we've got some demand down here, so let's just, again, this is all hypothetical. Let's just say we break below here. If this alert goes off, that means we're breaking below these 2 wicks, and the market kind of plunges, and then we hit here, okay? Depending on what happens when we get here, okay, you see the 200 is there. We have support right here. We have support right here. We have demand right here. Again, in theory, then when we get down here, we could bounce, right? So maybe they just sell it off back to here, which would be fairly significant, right? From 25.68, 25.70. Well, actually, where did we open up at? We opened up at 25.75.25. Okay, so if they sold it off all the way down here to 25.19, right in here, okay, that's a fairly significant move, but then we could almost anticipate that it should bounce there, right? Now, we won't know until it gets down there, okay, based on our filter, based on structure, things like that. Do we expect it to be a big bounce or not? Yes, Sonny, 100%. Be neutral, is the absolute best that you should be for any trading strategy, right? Any trading strategy. Okay, so you see right now, it's having a hard time getting under here. Okay, this is where it caught support earlier today, these two wicks. And these aren't even that big. They're medium size. We did have, we did have a little bit of kind of a basing right there. These, like I'd say 3 or 4 candles. Little pop. That's not a huge pop, but a little pop. And then we ranged from that point forward. We ranged, right? We could even probably draw a box around there. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, just to give us visuals. So you don't have to be exact. Just get you something that gives you a visual. I'll change it to gray because that's just showing us that it's a range. There we go. Okay, so now what are we looking for? Now we're looking for more of a breakout trade, right? We're looking for it to break sharply one way or the other, up or down. Up or down. Somebody new just joined us, so nice to have you this morning. We're still watching the market. Not a whole lot going on so far. Okay, kind of right off the bat, it poked its head up. Then it came back down, but has not been able to get under these two wicks over here. Okay, we caught support again. And we're still in this range, which has been since about 1:30 last night. Okay, coming across here, you see we went up, we went down, we went up, we went down, kind of came into the middle, went back down. So we're looking for a sharp break one way or the other. So Sonny, you're saying the bottom of this box is about 25.68, which you'd be pretty correct, pretty close. Again, you don't have to be perfect when you're drawing something like this in because you're looking for a sharp break one way or the other out of here. That is somewhere where volume might be able to help you, right? Okay, already we're up to 4.5 times average volume. 4.5 times. Let's come back over here, see where we were there. Okay. Over here we were about 4.7, and that was opening candle on Friday. Okay. Okay, back to opening price level. Good morning, Steve. Nice to have you. We haven't started looking at anything else yet. Although, let's do this. I'll set these alerts. I'm going to leave this one here. I'm going to put one just above the box up here. Then if either one of them go off, we'll know that we're breaking out of this range. And imagine that. You see this alert from TD Ameritrade. They're experiencing issues with CME orders. Those are futures, right? So if you're somebody who trades on Thinkorswim, be very careful if you're trading futures, right? Because look, see this alert? That's one of the reasons I don't trade with Thinkorswim anymore. They're experiencing issues with CME. That's the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. That's where futures are traded. And they're having issues. Okay, so okay, I did have an alert go off on BAC, and I believe it was to the upside because almost every alert I've had go off already has been to the upside. So let's go take a look. Okay, look at that gap up. Holy cow. All right, so that's where we ended on Friday. Huge gap up. It even cleared the 200. Now this was one of the ones that Kelsey put in the room, if I remember right. I think it was a shooting star on the daily, or maybe it was something else. Inside candle. It was an inside candle. Okay, so let me squeeze it in. All right, it was an inside candle on the daily. Now on the daily, it's gapped right up to the 20, and it's sort of just stalled out right there. See that? Okay, so we would be looking for what? We'd want to see it get above there. If it got above there, it could at least go to the top of this candle, which is 2187 approximately, 2182. If not, maybe 50% of the way up, which would be about 2210, right? Okay, we also have a bit of a broadening triangle. You see this? See this movement here? Okay, if I go back, let's just take it down to say a 4 hour. Okay, this is on Bank of America. Okay, here's the 4 hour. You see our broadening triangle here? Now on the 4 hour, we're just above the 20, but again, it's not really moving since the big gap up. Okay, now if it starts to take off, right? If it starts to take off, we were talking about on the daily around 2210. Okay, so this is part of that wick that we saw on the daily. But where's the potential for the move? Okay, now first of all, you got to look at our candles, right? What's our average size candles? What's our biggest candles? Okay, so if, like here's the biggest candle on the screen. Let's see what it is. It is a $3 candle. So we opened at 2103. So if we went $3, it would be $24. So would that get us to the top of here if we had that kind of a candle? It would. It would. But we'd have to clear this wick first. We saw the wick on the daily. The wick is right here on the 4 hour as well. Okay, but we know the potential exists that if we really got moving up and we could get over this, we could get to the top of this expanding range, which is some of the new notes I put in over the weekend. And I drew this in because I saw it on BAC when Kelsey had put in there that she saw that there was an inside candle on the daily. Okay? So if it really starts to take off, it does have the opportunity to get up here. It doesn't mean that you are. That's the biggest candle on the screen, right? So that means that it's highly unlikely, but it's possible. I would be looking more, you know, if it started to move somewhere around there, 2210, which is about 50% of the wick. Let's go back and we'll go back to the 30-minute. So you see on the 30-minute, it seems like we're a mile away from up here, doesn't it? Okay? Seems like we're so far away. And where is 2210? 2210 is right there. Okay? Does that make sense that that could potentially be an area of resistance? Well, of course, right? And why? Okay, let's start to see this together. Okay? Up, right? So we have a rally, strong candle, rally, base, drop. Okay, so it would make sense. It would make sense that right there around 2210, okay, which is right there, okay, which we know was 50% of the wick on the daily and the 4 hour. Okay, it also happens to be a basing area here on the 30-minute. Okay. If we were going to draw this in, it would look something like this if we really thought that this was a strong supply area. I would like to see it have some bigger candles like that leaving, but we do have, you know, kind of medium, 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 then a couple of smaller ones, then a bigger one. Okay, so we'll draw that in, and let's do this. Let's just set an alert up here. We'll set an alert, and I'm actually going to put the alert at 2210. Okay, and then we also know that right up there, I got to change that to pink, is potential supply. So maybe everybody can see that. We got somebody else who joined us. Awesome. All right. So this is BAC. Again, this is one of the ones that Kelsey alerted over the weekend because it had an inside daily candle. We gapped up clear over the 200 here in the 30-minute. Now it's starting to go. You see that? Now we're starting to get some movement. Okay, the market is moving. The market is moving. One thing I want to note, okay, if you look down here, our volume is not as big as I would like to see it, but we are moving. Again, volume, you don't have to have volume to move. That is a big misconception. However, the first hour of the day and the last hour and a half to maybe 2 hours of the day, it's slightly more important because that's primarily when institutional money is in play. The beginning and the ends of the day, right? So how do we know if it's institutional money? There will be a lot of volume all of a sudden, okay? Now I'm experimenting with 2.5 times. Really, you would want to see more than that. I know like a lot of hedge funds, prop desks, which stands for proprietary trading desks, they look for at least, 3 times, sometimes 4 times before they even start to get interested. So if they have a theory on a move, right, this is one of the indicators that they use a lot, and they'll set it at 3 times or 4 times or whatever. And then if you see something like, I'm just making this up, but 8 times, 10 times, 15 times average volume, and it's going in the direction of what your theory was, you're probably going to be pretty good, right? Because that is showing you that institutional money has that same theory. They want it to go that direction. That's why I'm looking at this, right? That's why I'm looking at this. So over here, right, the only reason these candles will turn green is if they're above 2.5 times average volume. And for us right now, that is on the last 30 candles. So whatever chart you're on, it's going to be on the last 30 candles. This is more important on your intraday trading time frame. All right? And I'm experimenting with it. It doesn't mean that you guys need to, right? I'm just looking at it. Being the scalper that I am, I'm always looking to see, is there something that can give me a little bit, just another little bit of an edge. And so that's why I'm looking at this. So we're still moving, right? Look at this, still moving. Okay, so this, let's see where we opened. We opened at 2103, and we're currently at 2150, high of 2154. So it's already moved 50 cents. Okay, look at the average candles on the screen, right? This is already one of the bigger ones. Okay, this is probably your biggest one right here. And this one right here was, let's see, $1.25, right? Okay, so this is becoming, because if you look at the average size candles on this 30-minute chart, we're already bigger than most of them. That's a good sign if this was your theory. Okay, we know that what we were thinking on this trade was because it was on a daily inside candle, we're looking for a break above or below. We got this huge gap up, and the reason the gap up is more important is because it gapped us up all the way over the 200, right? And I don't have any levels drawn in because this is not a name that I normally trade, so let's just go ahead and do that. I know we did our thing on support and resistance yesterday, so let's just go ahead and draw our levels in. Not something I normally trade. Get our price level tool. Start at current price, and we'll work our way back. All right, so this would probably be about our first one. And then right about here. Definitely up here. That's almost flat, so I'm going to put one there. Here's one that is flat. I tell you what, I'm going to change these. I'm going to put one there. I'm going to remove this one. Put one up here. Put one up here where it's flat, and we'll put one down here, and that'll be good enough for now. Again, this is not one that I trade a lot normally. Go back to the 30-minute and go back to our candles. And let me just put back my trend line tool. All right. Okay, let's see here. Are those wicks a setup so it may keep rolling up? Absolutely. You see this over here? This is what Todd Father's talking about. Beautiful candle structure right here. Small wicks. We're already above this one, right? Small wicks on a diagonal candle pattern that leads us right up here to where price based. Okay. Does that mean it's going to get it all the way up there? Not necessarily, but the setup is there, and that's what we're looking for. The setup is there. There's really nothing here on the 30-minute that looks like it would be much resistance. This is a little bit of a drop, base drop. You see this right here? Okay, so let's see where that's at. 2170. Okay, so if it got up around there, around 2170, and we saw it either stop or take a pullback, that might make a little sense, right? Drop, base, drop. Okay, and our gap up got us clear over this gap, right? So that was a big thing because we had come up in here a couple of times, tested it, tested it, tested it, tested it again, sold way back down here to support, and then we get this big gap. Now, this gap, again, is because of the market. Let's go back over and take a look at the market. The gap isn't necessarily because of anything that Bank of America is doing. It's because of this run-up right here. Okay, and we're getting the breakout. That's why the alert went off. We're getting the breakout out of the box. Okay, so let's squeeze it in a little bit more. And then we'll shorten up the chart. Okay, so we know up in here, that's our next area of resistance, but let's look to the left and see, is there anything to the left that we need to know about? Okay, well, right here, right here. So trying to get over, say, 2600 to about 2604, right in there. Okay, so these two wicks could offer us a little bit of resistance. If we clear those, it's pretty smooth sailing up to about here, which is 2621, or maybe even all the way up to the resistance level at 2630.50. Okay, you guys see how we do that? So we know this is current price, 25.94, 25.95. So we look to the left. Okay, what would be our potential obstacles? These two wicks, and what did I say they were? Between 2601 and 2604, right in there. Actually 2601 and 2603. So right in there, and then if they clear this, there really shouldn't be anything until you get up here to this little basing area where we kind of went up and then just a little base and then we dropped down, and that was up at around 2621. Okay, Sunny, let's see here. 8:30 inside candle. We can come back over here and look. $8:30. What time frame, Sonny? What time frame are you talking about an inside candle at 8:30? Let me know which time frame. Because here's the 8:30 candle on the 30-minute. It was not an inside candle, so you might be looking at a different time frame. Okay, this is the 8:30 candle, and it's not an inside candle. This candle, let's see, this is our 9 o'clock candle. It was not an inside candle, but it was a doji. Then we move down. This is an outside candle. We're starting our new 30-minute candle here. This is an outside candle. This, if you read our price action notes, this is a single candle power reversal, right? We take out one side, price then reverses, and the reason they call it a power reversal is it has the power then to take out the other side and continue moving. So this right here, if you go back and look at the price action notes, this is a classic. Let me do this so you can see it better. There we go. And I'll stretch it out. That is a classic single candle power reversal, and that's all. That's what it means. Okay. Here's your doji. It took it out here, went down, but the buyers said nope, you're not going any lower, and they have enough power to take out the other side and continue pushing. That's it right there. That is a single candle power reversal. And yes, Sonny, that is a big opening candle, and look at our volume, right? Okay, look at, it was up there around 5.3. Okay, so that means 5.3 times the normal average volume on this candle over the last 30 candles. And that's what I'm experimenting with now. Different people use different numbers. Some people go further back. They might, the standard setting is 60, but it's more relevant if it's a little bit smaller, but you don't want it too small, right? You don't want like, 5 or 10 candles, okay? Because then this number, it wouldn't take very much for it to be bigger than that average volume. You want a big enough range that it's giving you a truer number, but you don't want it to be too long. You don't want it to be too long. So I'm experimenting with 30. Okay, we're still going higher, right? So we know from looking to the left that we're trying to clear 2603 to get more upside movement. Okay, 2603 is what we're trying to clear on the market here. And we will go look at some other names. We just got some, some nice action here. So what did we have? We had a couple of things in play. We had a single candle power reversal. We also had a sharp breakout out of the range, right? Okay, so there's two potential plays there. When price came back through this candle, when you took out the top of that, that could have been a scalp to the top side. And where? Probably right up here. This could have been your T1, 25.89.75. It easily got through there. Okay. Or if you were trying to play a breakout, you could have waited and you could have entered here. And then maybe your T1 was those wicks that we looked at back here, 2601 to 2603, these two wicks. All right, so two different ways that could have been played. And those notes I put in the free room today, that kind of goes along with what we're showing right there. A couple of different ways you could play that. Depends on your personality, your style, right? Some people love breakouts. They think it's just such a easy visual for them to see, and they might want to play the breakout. Okay, if you're purely a price action trader, then you might have looked at this and you guys are learning. Okay, but a price action trader would have saw this setting up, and when it started to get back into the middle of this range, they would have immediately started thinking, we may be looking at a single candle power reversal here. Okay, boom, to the downside, takes out both sides, bottom and top, and has strength, and we had strength on volume. We had strength on volume, which says it's highly likely that it's going to push to the upside. I probably would have had this as a target, okay, for my T1, then maybe a T2 at the 2601 level. Okay, Sonny, always 30-minute. Okay, but you said an inside candle at 8:30. Okay, this isn't an inside candle. I just want you to know that. It would have to be completely inside of this candle's range, and it's not, right? You see that? The high of this candle is 25.74.75. The high of this candle is 25.78.75, right? So it's almost $3 higher. Okay, An inside candle has to be totally inside, wicks and all, has to be inside the candle preceding. Now here, even though this was not an inside candle, doji, right? A doji is a candle of indecision, and you can have these single candle power reversals anytime. Okay, this could have developed into one. It could have came down here, took out the bottom, and in reverse took out the top. Then you would look down, okay, do we have some volume or do we have a reason? Like, is our RSI, our 60/40 slanting up? Well, it was, right? It was. Okay, I'm just trying to put as many things together as I could. But that's also why this was so strong. You see, if we drew a line from here to here, okay, we're moving up. We come down here, we're way over our average volume, okay? We know that it ended up up at the 5.3 range, excuse me. So you put this and this together with the price action signal or trigger, okay, of this single candle power reversal. So when you've already taken this side out, when you take that side out, that's where you would enter, and then you would have to have a target. Okay, like I said, for me, the conservative target would have been 25.8975. If you wanted a T2, it would have been those two wicks over to the side. All right. Okay, now so far, right? So far, we're not holding. We barely poked our head above 2603, and right now it's pushing back down. So that's these two wicks over here. Come back across, okay? I said this would be your first potential obstacle. You got to get above this and hold, right? Just because it pokes above doesn't mean it's going to hold. Right now, we got to come back over here. Right now, it's pushing the other direction. See that? We got a ways to go here, 23 minutes on this candle. Okay, but we're just watching price action play out. Now on that single candle power reversal, let me see what our 25.81 to 25, yeah, okay. Would have been about $8. That's a pretty decent move. Yep, that's a pretty decent move if you can scalp $8. And then we know we made it up to 2601, which was right there. Okay, barely, but we made it. That could have been a T2, and that gets you some more, right? That gets you some more. Okay, let's go back. Man, I had several alerts go off. Let me see what some of the other ones were. Give me a second. I'll look them up on my phone here. Huh, I had a ton of alerts go off. Okay, Pepsi above 127.15. So let's go look at Pepsi. Okay, so Pepsi, look at this. Now this would have been scary, right? Big gap up and then it flushed. Almost filled the gap. It didn't quite fill the gap, but look at that. Flush down and then bam, right back up. Forms a hammer, but currently then it went up to this resistance level at 129.19, and now it's like pushing itself back down. All right, doesn't mean anything right now, right? Still early. Now, if you'd lose this level and start to work back, that would mean something. And if we look down here, okay, not really any abnormally or unusually high volume, okay? This would be green if we were over 2.5 times on that first candle. We didn't even make 2.5 times. And I may play around with this. I may adjust it. Like see over here on this particular candle here. Again, green just means you are above average on volume. It has nothing to do with buyers or sellers. Red means you're not above unusually high volume. That's all. Okay, so over here, we had the big gap up, the big flush down. We came back up, tested here, and right now it's pushing. But we would want to see, does it get below 128.01? Okay, we'll look down here. Looks like we're starting to pivot. Okay, looks like we're starting to pivot. That can change, right? That can change. It's more important to see, like, if you're looking at the RSI filter as a gauge for trend or a move, you want to see it play out sort of like this, okay, over time. And you see how you got this move up here that followed this, right? And then it already, if you look here, see, that was a green candle, but then it was already starting to move down. That was giving you a precursor that maybe this trend was about to change. Maybe that trend was about to change. Okay, let me look at some other things. Oh, I know what I wanted to see. Let me look at Pepsi. I want to look at Pepsi on the different charts here. So let's go to a daily. Okay, let's see, was this an inside candle? High 125.37. Nope, 125.18. That was not an inside candle. I'm trying to see why I had that alert set where I did. Let me look at a weekly. Weekly was not inside. However, nope. Trying to figure out why I had that set, because it said I had it set for 127.15, and I'm trying to figure out why I had it set for there. Now, it's irrelevant for now. It's moving up like other things, right? Like other things. There we are on the weekly, but we're starting this new week. Starting tomorrow is when the monthly will really start to come into play. The Tuesday of your second week is when you start paying a lot more attention to the monthly. As you can see, so far, it's pretty nice green candle for Pepsi. Kind of had this flush down and then back up. All right. Sonny, I see your comments there. You're welcome. All right, let's go back and look at the market real quick. And then we're going to look at some other things. Not that. We want 30-minute. Okay, right now, what we got left? We still got 17 minutes left. But let's just talk about some theory here, right? So if we end up as a doji or a spinning top, then what would we think would be likely to happen next? That would be a bullish signal, right? Because we had the wide-ranging green candle. Now if we get a resting candle, sort of like a doji or a spinning top, in the upper 25 to 30% of this candle, can be anywhere. It could be in the wick too, right? When I say that, it doesn't necessarily have to be right here, okay? Then we would look for the top of this candle to get taken out. And if it would, we would look for a similar move in magnitude as this for a scalping opportunity, right? So your mind, the gears should be turning. You should be watching. Now, that's if it ends up that way. If this starts to flush, right? No, then that takes that off. But if we end up as a spinning top or a doji, something with a small body or no body up in here, okay, that's typically a bullish signal. And then we would start to look to see this top get taken out. And then we would look for a move similar in magnitude as this. All right. Okay, let's go through and look at some things. We'll see if any price action stuff jumps out at us. We're going to see lots of gap ups. Okay, this number is going to be high. See, it's 29.14. Remember when we opened the session, we were at 25.50, right? So that number is going to be high. So this is Apple, gapped up into a nice area, right? Because it's got room to go either direction. Okay, not really 50%, but it's got plenty of room to go either way. So somebody who's playing Apple. Let's look at the volume. Okay, volume on the first candle. I mean, it's okay. It was 2.6. All right, so 2.6 times normal volume. And right now, looks like a resting candle. right? Just like the market. Yep, Sonny. Yep. It's more, I mean, you're calling it a rally-based rally, and that's fine if that helps you in your mind. It's really more of a 3-candle pattern play. Okay, so you're having a wide-ranging candle, then a resting candle, which is typically just a little bit of profit taking, right? And the in this case, the buyers gaining a little bit of strength. That's why they call it a resting candle. Taking some profit, gaining a little bit of strength, and then they make a further push to the upside. That is also, and we had an alert go off on AMD. We're going to go look at it right now. That is also a reason why you would want to see what the volume was doing. Okay, let's look at AMD. We had an alert go off there. Okay, so look at AMD. It's really pushing. So gapped up above both moving averages. That's important. About 50% here, which gave it plenty of room to move. And I think my alert was going off because we cleared this. Okay, you see this move right here? I think that's why my alert was going off. And we're almost up right now to the resistance at 45.78. Okay, our first, or is this the second? Yeah, first candle of the day. We got 2.7, right? 2.7 times average volume. Again, that's nothing to write home about, but it, you know, I mean, 2.7 times what it normally is doing over the last 30 candles. Okay, so we got this strong move. Just again, confirming if you had a long theory there that, okay, we're moving up and we've got volume behind us. And what we're trying to do is figure out if institutional money is also involved, right? Now, again, from what I've researched, they usually say institutional money, you sort of say they're involved when it's above 3 to 4 times normal volume and up. It can sometimes be 15 times normal volume. Okay, here we are. We're all the way up now to this level. Okay, can we break through there? Where would be the next area of resistance? Look at this, right here. I don't have it drawn in, okay, but it would be right about there. It's just, whoop, I got to get the right tool. I got to get a rectangle, don't I? Okay, it would be up in here. Give me 1 second. Just trying to give you an idea. I'm not trying to be exact. Okay, so this would be an area that we would look for potential resistance. And we're going to look at some things in a minute to determine whether we think, okay, is it likely for us to see a significant bounce from here? Well, right now we're above 60, so our filter says no. Now, we're not there yet. Okay, we don't know when we get here, if we get there, right? Because right now we're at resistance. Okay, but if we get here, then we'd look down here. Are we above 60? If we're above 60, that's trying to tell us that we probably shouldn't go short, or that if we do, it's probably going to be a smaller move. Where's the origin of the move? Right here. Okay, so would we think it's likely to bounce from there all the way back down here? If we're above 60, right, probably not. Probably not. The only thing I really don't like right now on this AMD move, okay, look at the volume we had on the opening candle, and although we're still going up, we've got like no volume on this candle. You see that? Like nothing, like hardly anything. We're still moving up. That just means that there's no sellers in the way. Okay, and that's why I try to say it's really hard to trade just volume. There's a lot of people that put so much weight into volume, and they think that price can only move if you have volume. Well, right here's case in point. Right? We've got no volume, and we're still moving up. And when I say no volume, I want you to understand there's obviously volume there. It's just, you know, like hardly any, and we're still moving up. Okay, so this is AMD. I'll set an alert right up here because if we do get up here, then we're going to see, do we get a reversal or at least a bounce. Okay, so if that goes off, we'll come back. Let's go back over to the market. I think we're trickling higher. Okay, we are. Okay, we are. And the volume is almost up to our level of 2.5 times. Now I want you to understand something. Throughout the morning, the volume will always slightly decline. And if you ever see a spike somewhere along here, that's huge, okay, because that would be out of the ordinary. So your first candle of the day is almost always going to have the highest volume. And then the next candle, slightly less, and then the next candle, slightly less, and then so on and so forth. And typically your volume pattern looks like this right here, okay? Early in the day, that was a 9:30 candle, and see how it comes down, 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 down. Then it starts to move back up. So why did I say that this is important at the beginning and the end of the day? This is why. This is typically what you see right here. Okay? This is typically what you see. Opening candle should be your strongest. Okay? This is pretty strong for a second candle. See, we just went green over here. That's pretty strong for a second candle. And then they should keep decreasing. And then around lunchtime, 11:30, noon, 1 o'clock, that's when you're typically going to bottom out, and then you're going to start back up. And then typically at the end of the day, if institutional money's coming back in, you're going to see a spike in volume, right? On whatever name you're playing. Right now, this is the market, okay, but whatever name you're playing. So let's go look at AMD again. Just for the sake of showing you some things. Okay, this is the first day in quite a while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days on the screen. 6, 7, 8. Okay, we have to go back almost 10 days until we see a candle that was more than 2.5 times average volume. It was clear back here. Look at the move. Look at the move that it created. You guys see this? It was another gap up, gap and go, right? This is the technical definition of a gap and go. Gapped up and we went, right? And look, it's the first candle going back in time since today that AMD had over 2.5 times average volume. Let's see how high it was. It was up around 4, okay? Just over 4. It was just over 4. That's pretty significant. That tells you that day, and look at the move, all right? Look at the move. Not only did we have the gap up, then it went even higher. Okay, so we opened at 44.03 and our high was at 46.81. 44.03, 46.81, almost $2.80 move on AMD after this huge gap up. The only way that happens is with institutional money. So if we come over here, it's sort of like a carbon copy, right? Okay. So first time in 10 days that we've had a green candle telling us that we're over 2.5 times average volume, big gap up, gap and go, gap and go. Now, the only thing is this, and it's only got about 6 more minutes, this is not following through. We would like to see, even if it's red, you'd like to see this candle at least up in here. That would show us some follow through. So we had it out of the gate, and now this candle, it just isn't giving us any follow through. So let's just say, in theory, we melt up here, right, on almost no volume. Then when we get up here, would it be more likely to see a bounce back down? Yes. Right? Because there's no power behind the move then at that point. There's no power behind it. This would probably start rolling over if that happened. Okay, you see how it's starting to now? That doesn't mean that it can't just keep melting up. And then when it gets here, then it rolls over and starts to sell back down. And we can sort of use this to help us, okay? All right. Let's see. Let's go to Amazon. Hopefully this stuff is like starting to resonate with you guys. Okay, Amazon, big gap up, fairly strong move. Okay, again, look, gapped into the middle, got plenty of room to move either direction. And similar to AMD, we had some nice volume out of the gate. Let's get up here. That's about 3.3 times, right? So that's good, right? That's good. But now the volume has already fallen off. And you can see what happened. We actually pushed down, pushed back up, and it's just sort of hanging out, right? Okay, where does it have room to move to? Well, we've got a wick over here. All right, so it'd have to clear 1961.60 to keep going. So it could catch some resistance in here. Let's look at, we'll look at forex after a bit. Let's look at BA. Okay, now here's a prime example of the majority of names are going to follow the market. Okay, not always, but BA had bad news today. Okay, they had, I'm going off of memory, and I don't think I put it in the room, but one of their accounts had like an $11 billion or $12 billion order, and they canceled it. They don't have confidence in BA right now, so they canceled a huge order. But what's BA doing? It's doing what the market's doing. You would think in normal conditions that if news like that came out, what's BA going to do? It's going to sell off, right? Or at least move down, maybe not sell off, but it gapped up just like the market did. It tried to sell down, couldn't, came back up. Now it's actually even moving up. This is decent volume here for the second candle. First candle didn't really have any unusual volume, right? See this? Second candle, decent. That's probably why we're kind of trickling up with the market. So I tell you guys all the time, I don't trade the news. It's important to know the news, but I don't necessarily trade it because look at this. I mean, BA, this is a great example. It's just doing what the market's doing, even though it had terrible news this morning. Even for a company the size of Boeing, losing a contract of $11 or $12 billion or whatever it was, that's big. Okay, that should negatively impact the stock, and it's not. It's not. Okay, BABA. Okay, let's look at BABA. See what our China names are doing. Look at this gap. Holy cow. That's an enormous gap for BABA. Big gap up, came down, held its support, and now it's flat on the day. Flat on the day, but up big, right? Up here it's going to show that it's up $7.57, but that's all gap. That's all gap. And I can't remember, maybe it was a couple of you who've asked me in the past couple of weeks about how likely are gaps to fill. And again, I'll just say it over and over again, and I want you to start seeing it every day. Unless they're small, they're not likely to fill immediately. When you have these big gaps, they're going to act as support. Okay, if it's a gap up, they're going to act as support the first several times, sometimes a long time. They have to be tested and tested and tested, and typically what will happen is each time it's tested, it'll poke in a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then finally it'll break through the gap. Okay, so when you get these bigger gaps, now if you just have a little gap, it's easy for that gap to fill. But when you get these bigger gaps like this, generally the best you can hope for is maybe around a 50% fill or somewhere near there, and then it's probably going to catch some support, test it again, maybe a little bit further, and then eventually it'll get through. Okay, so that's BABA. We'll go ahead and look at Baidu, which will probably look very similar. Yep. Baidu usually looks very similar to BABA, but I like having a couple of different China names in there. Big gap up, tried to come down, back up, and sort of flat. Okay, sort of flat. Biogen. Okay, you notice every one of these have gap ups, significant. Big gap up, came down, pushed up, sort of flat. All right, so this is a pharma name, but it looks just like everything else. Beyond. Okay, here's Beyond, gap up, push down, push back up, and now it's up because right here's where it opened. It's up both because of the gap and on the day. Not much volume, right? So nothing I'd probably be too excited about, me personally. CGC. CGC. Gap up, push down, pushed all the way up here to resistance, then came back down, and right now, okay, this isn't really a shooting star, right? This wick is not 2 to 3 times the size of this body, but it did reject up here. So we're just going to watch. My guess is that this will probably, sort of range. If the market starts to make a move up, it'll probably start to make a move up, or else it'll just start to melt back down over time. Okay, so CGC. Let's look at crowd, which is CrowdStrike. I just say crowd. Okay, gap up, pushed up, doji, and then right now, let me get a little closer. Right now it's hanging out here at support. See that? Twice. It's been back down to support and it's been holding. And let's go back and just see. Okay, market is falling. And how do I know that? Because the last time we looked at it, it was at 2604. Yep, see, it's falling. We got a little bit of a gravestone doji there. Okay, so we had our sharp move up. You could call this a doji shooting star. And now we're moving down. And volume, okay, look at this. That's good for a second candle. Second candle of volume above 2.5 times. And our move, right? Our move is to the downside. Again, this has nothing to do with buyers or sellers. It's overall volume. So we're getting strong volume now as we're moving down. Okay, if we can break through the support level, then we're looking at the 20 and opening price level. All right, now I wasn't here to look at this. If anybody was watching it, then maybe you took this, right? Strong move up. We got our doji shooting star. It's taken out the bottom. It is struggling right now with our support level at 25.8975. It is struggling there. So you might look at that. Okay, if you're conservative, you might say, okay, I'm not taking that because I've got a support level so close. But if I get below the support level, maybe I'll take it, and then I'll look at the 20 or this. You see what's happening right now? The support level's holding. See that? So it tried to move down. Okay, our volume is still strong. Let's set some alerts, so we'll keep looking at some other stuff. We'll set an alert up here, which will tell us if it reverses back to the upside. And then we'll set an alert just below our level here. And that'll tell us if it's going to continue to the downside. Either way. All right. A lot of time, 26 minutes to go, 25 minutes to go on this candle. All right, let's go look at some other things. Let's look at gold. See what GDX and GLD are doing today. Gap up, came down, pushed back up, sold down a little bit, and right now it's just sort of holding in there. It is up from where it opened. But as you come down here, look at the volume, like nothing. Right? That's low volume. Low volume. All right. But look at this over here. So here's case in point. I want to show you this. Okay. There is like next to no volume here, and look at that move on no volume. So don't let anybody tell you you have to have volume to have a move. Look at this. That's a big candle. It's almost the biggest candle on the screen. It comes straight down. There's like next to no volume, and it continued, and it got continuation. All right, so again, these are just to help us, right? These are just to help us. Now there's a big candle. So let's just say, again, in theory, okay, let's just say you had some sort of theory to the upside and it started going your direction and a trigger went off and you see this kind of volume. That's just a confirming signal. That's all. We're not trading the volume. Okay, let's go to gold, GLD. And it looks almost identical to GDX. Gap up, went up, sold back a little bit, and now just sort of, you know, up for the day, but right now sort of in a pause. Now it did have some nice volume on this first candle. See that? Let's look. About 4.2. About 4.2 times average volume. So that made sense for that move here, and it was... let's look here. Not quite a $2 move, okay, but on GLD, that's not bad, right? That's not bad. Google. Big gap up, came down, ended up as a sort of a hammer doji, which would sort of be a momentum, you know, a momentum thing. Not much volume. And now we're just, again, on almost no volume. We're just sort of melting up. Just sort of melting up right now. That's Google. Okay, you can look down here. Here's your opening candle. Okay, we never even made it over 2.5 times. And now we've got next to no volume, but we're still melting up. Let's look at Microsoft. All right, Microsoft. Big gap up, flush down. Let's see, I'll bet you that was pretty close to almost 50% of the gap. Caught support, back up, and right now, not doing a whole lot. Okay, we know we have supply ahead. I do have it marked. Let's drag it across. 162.75. So let me just drag this across a little bit more. I know it's supposed to be 162.75, so let me adjust it. All right, so this is Microsoft. If it would happen to get up here, okay, that's a decent level of supply. Only thing I would like to see different is I would much rather have the bigger candle over here, but that's still a pretty decent sized candle leaving the base. Rally, base, drop. Okay, that's a pretty big candle, right? It's bigger than average on the screen, okay, but I would have liked to seen this over here, but that's okay. We have it drawn in. Okay, let's look. Let's look, Sonny. Let's look here. If you're talking about here, that would be a shooting star doji right here. Is that what you meant? Shooting star doji? Because that's what we were just talking about. I don't know if you missed it. We were just talking about it. We started to get a move to the downside, but then what happened over here is we caught the support. See where it stopped? Right at the support level. I can squeeze it in, right? So we had a shooting star doji. We started down, but we caught support right at the support level. Now it's bouncing higher. Okay? All right, let's go back and look at some more. Just trying to look at a bunch of different things. Netflix. Okay, Netflix, interesting. Not as big a gap up as some other names, But we had nice volume, right around almost four times average volume on the opening candle. And look, that's a nice move. That is a $13 move. $13. Now, let's look at and see if there was anything that we could have been looking at that would have told us. Okay, here's the daily. All right, daily, not an inside candle. In fact, I don't think it's an outside candle either. Nope, not quite. All right, so nothing there. Let's look at the weekly. All right, weekly. Actually, look at this. Okay, right there was a shooting star doji on the weekly, and we're inside, and we're not going down. If anything, we're green. Sonny, I'll go back and look at that in just a second. Okay, so right now we're inside here on Netflix on the 30-minute, and we still got 19 minutes to go on this candle, right? But look, let's go back to the daily, excuse me, the 30-minute. Okay, this was the majority of your move. Now, if somebody's still hoping to catch something else to the upside on Netflix, well, then they're hoping that they catch support right here and you just start putting in structure. But $13 move right out of the gate on high volume, okay? And then you turn around and you start selling back. That makes sense, right? Why? Because buyers are probably exhausted after a $13 move right out of the gate. Okay, if we go back and look, this is probably the biggest candle on the screen. Okay, it looks like it's bigger than all these other bigger ones, right? So that makes sense that they probably exhausted right there. We're not getting continuation volume. Again, if we're getting continuation volume, we're going to probably be up in here somewhere, even if it's red. Or if you see green again. Okay, so right now they turned around and they sold back down, which is most likely profit taking, exhaustion by the buyers, and they came right here to our support level. All right, and okay, so Sunny wants me to go back and look at the market. And here we go. Let me squeeze it in some more. All right, so, okay, shooting star, low wick taken out. Is that a good play? All right, so, Sonny, what we were talking about before, it depends on how aggressive you are. An aggressive play for sure, yeah, right? Because after the strong move up, then we got a strong, it tried to go higher, okay, couldn't do it. Okay, and where did we end up? We ended up lower. Remember when we looked to the left? Okay, we ended up lower than these two wicks over here that I said we needed to be concerned with right here. So we couldn't hold it. We poked up above, but we couldn't hold it. I said that's the key. You got to be able to hold it. All right. So then we came back down. We formed the shooting star doji, an aggressive play. And the only reason I say aggressive is because you had support right below here. What happened the first time? It went right to support and bounced. Now it's trying it again. Okay, now it's trying it again. If we get below there, then you're looking at the 20 and opening price level. Okay, those would be your next targets. All right. So on this, on the break of this, the only thing you had to be concerned about was this, the support level, and it did bounce. It bounced all the way up to here off of that support. Probably would have stopped you out. I'm only guessing. But could you re-enter either here or just below here? Sure, right? It looks like it wants to make another attempt. Let's do this. I'm going to bring up, I don't do this very often, time and sales. All right, so this shows you actual orders. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it to where it's only going to show us orders of 10 contracts or more. Okay? And a contract controls how many shares? 100, right? So 10 times 100, that means that when we see 10, that's 1,000 shares that are being controlled. So we can watch this a little bit, okay? If I'm going to watch anything, I would much rather watch time and sales than order flow, because these are actual orders. And as you can see right now, there's not a whole lot. Like, by making this 10 contracts or more, it's weeding out all those onesie twosies. They're not going to move anything. Okay, and what this is telling me right now is there's not a whole lot of big money involved. Okay, and we can tell that too by the volume down here. How would we know that there was big volume involved? If this thing started to scroll with all kinds of these 10s, 20s, 40s, if you see 50s like up here, okay, but that's a buy, right? That's a buy. And then another thing, if you watch time and sales, again, I don't watch that often, okay? You're looking, are you seeing more green or are you seeing more red? And if you're seeing more green, okay, are the orders bigger than the red orders? Okay, so on and so forth. All right, so I just wanted to show you that real quick. That's not something that I watch all the time. Yeah, so again, Sonny, what I'm saying is a more conservative play is if you take out this level here, right? If you take that out, then you have targets down in here, okay, which would get you about $10 to there and about $14 to there. Okay, if somebody was trying to scalp it. Somebody was trying to scalp it. Volume was good on the first two bars. Decent. Again, we'd like to see it up a little bit higher. Okay, especially we know we're looking here for a downside move. And you can get rid of this gray box now. Okay, we can get rid of this. All right, now we took out our alert, which means that we have significantly broke through here. Let me remove the box because we don't need it anymore. Now, here we go. Okay. Shouldn't be, unless somebody steps in, anything that should really stop us till we get down around in here. If we go back over and just pop this open real quick, okay, a lot of green though. That means buyers are trying to stop it. Look at all this green. See this? There's only one red on the whole screen. They're trying to stop it. Okay, I'm going to put this back over here. I'm going to set an alert right down here at the 20. We'll see if we can get down there. That way we don't have to just sit here and look at it. We'll know if we make it down there. Okay, so I got an alert set there. Okay, right now, as we just saw on the time and sales, whole bunch of buy orders trying to stop this move. Yeah, Todd Father. Yeah, I don't doubt it, because if that's a play I would have took, I would have had my stop just above this right here, and that would have easily stopped me out too, right? Because I would have had a nice tight stop just under here, and that would have easily stopped me out. Okay, still trying to push lower. Well, we've got our alert. We can come back. If that alert goes off, then we know what's going on. All right, let's go back. Let's look at NVIDIA. Okay, NVIDIA, big gap up, right up. Look at this, right up to resistance, and now that's where it's hanging out. Okay, boom, right up to it, hanging out. So just like we talked about yesterday on the live stream about support and resistance. The reason this is important is because historically, it's a level that has been respected. So that's why we mark them on our charts, and we're not surprised to see action like this. We're not surprised to see price, which had a lot of volume behind it, shoot up, and where does it stall out? Right here at resistance. Right there. And so far, it hasn't been able to get through it. Okay, that's why I believe it's important. Some people don't believe support and resistance is important. I do, and this is why. Okay, that's why. Okay, that was NVIDIA, Pepsi. Okay, Pepsi, kind of crazy today. Look at that. Big gap up, flush down, but it didn't fill the whole gap. All the way back up, flush down again. Now working its way back up. It's sort of stalled out here at this resistance level. So getting some wild swings on Pepsi this morning. Here's the Qs. Should look very similar to the market. Okay. There's the Qs. Big gap up, pushed up. Now it's kind of bouncing again. Where's it bouncing? Oh my gosh, a resistance level. Right? That's where it's bouncing off of. Regeneron. Okay. Gap up, flush down to the 20, pushed back up, came over here, flushed down, pushed up, and right now it's starting to move lower. Roku. All right, Roku, gap up, moved up, come back down, moved up, come back down. Okay, overall, still moving up. The initial move of the day was on nice volume. All right, about 3.1 times normal. Let's look at shop. I saw somebody I respect. When I say respect, I don't trade like this guy. Maybe I should, because the guy's made a lot of money over the years. But he's a long-term trader. That's why I don't. That's why I say I don't trade like him. But a guy that I somewhat respect, he was saying he doesn't want anything to do with shop right now. He played shop for a while, and let's look here. Probably it'd be better to go out to a little bit bigger time frame. Let's go to a 4-hour. Recently, he's played this downward movement on shop. Okay, he's a longer-term trader. Made good money, but he said right now he doesn't want anything to do with it. I think what he's waiting to see, I'm just looking at this, he's probably waiting to see, are we going to make a W and put in a double bottom here? And then if it started to move back up, somebody like him would probably get into it and try to play it all the way back up, or most of the way back up, probably up to at least this level. Okay, you see how the W pattern is starting to form, right? Okay, so if it gets back down into here, and somebody's a longer term trader, then they would look for signals that tell them, okay, if it starts to move back up, then they might try to swing trade it all the way back up to this area. You know, just draw that across. Okay, so from, if it got down here, that'd be about $306, and they'd be looking to play it all the way back up to about 530. Okay, that's takes a lot of patience. A lot of patience. Okay, I see something on the screen. Okay. This should be over here, and you will see that supply worked beautifully. All right, right up into it. We're on a 4-hour right now. Right up into it, and then big bounce away. Okay. Demand here did not hold. I'm not even going to worry about bringing it over. It did not hold. Let me see. On the way up, this did not hold, but this one did. And these were drawn in on smaller time frames. It was drawn in on like the 30-minute. And maybe I was reaching, right? Maybe I was being over aggressive. That's what I was telling you guys not to do. And I said, even I fall into that sometimes, wanting to draw in zones that either maybe aren't as strong. Okay, so here, okay, we did have a strong drop away, but we didn't have much base. In fact, we only have one candle, and we really didn't have a rally up into it. We just had this one medium-sized candle, then we had the strong drop away. So I was probably being a little over-aggressive right there. And plus, we had a lot of strength here. We had a gap up right into it, and it kind of broke through, and then it went higher. This is the one that held. Okay, why won't it let me scroll over? I guess I can't. Okay, that's the one that held. And this was actually a drop base drop. Strong drop. We have the gap to here, the base. Now on a 4 hour, one candle's different, right? Because it's 4 hours. And then a strong gap away. So that's why this was much stronger. Okay, so let's keep looking. Let's go to Tesla. Go to the 30-minute. And we will look at a few forex names here in just a minute. Gapped up, sold down, pushed back up, flushed down right to support. I mean, it's just crazy, right? Right to support. Okay, and that's where it's holding right now. And Twitter, we'll look at Twitter and Walmart, then we'll look at some forex, and then unless you have some questions, we'll wrap it up. Okay, this is Twitter. Gapped up, came down just a little bit, pushed up, back down to support, and now sort of melting a little bit. Not any crazy volume to write home about. And Walmart. Okay, Walmart, interesting. Not a gap up, actually gap down. Right? Make sure I'm looking at that right. Yeah, it gapped down and then had the strong move up here, caught some resistance at 123.78, and now it's pulled back a little bit. Probably going to form an inside candle here. Okay, so depending on what the overall market does, you could be watching on Walmart for a potential scalp off of the inside candle. If the market starts to move down, okay, you know you'd have more room to the downside than the upside. You have resistance right here, and you have this wick right here. If it starts to move down, you've got more room to get, this is a smaller wick, and then you could get down to here. Then if you broke through there, gosh, I mean, there's not much to slow you down, right? See this? Because of this, you probably wouldn't look at any resistance or any support until you got down around here. Okay, just something to keep in mind. All right, now let's go back and we'll look, well, we're right here. Let's look at US CAD and we'll look at some forex names. All right, here's US CAD. Don't trade this much. That's why you don't see lines on my chart. Let's see here. Trying to see if anything stands out to me. Here, I mean, we had this strong move down. That's not really the greatest of hammers, but it did move it back up, came down, hammered again, moved back up, hammered again, moved back up. So I guess you could try to play smaller plays. Let's see, 411, 44. Okay, I mean, that's 30-some pips from there to there. Now, are you going to make it all the way up there? Probably not, because you'd probably get up in here somewhere, and if this started to reverse, and that's only about 19 pips. 19 pips is a decent scalp, though. Okay. Not a whole lot that I like in here. Let me look. Nope, they didn't get up here. Here's a little drop, base, drop. Not fabulous, but it probably would offer some resistance. Okay, up here we got a rally Okay, base, drop. I would draw it in like this. Draw it in like this. Change that to pink. This is US CAD. Which is dollar Canadian. All right. I'll end up extending that later. But that's how you would draw that in. So strong rally, nice base, right? Three, you could even say that's part of the base if you want. 3-4 candle base, strong drop away, continuation, then it based, then it went lower. So we would expect this right here to give us some sort of bounce if price gets back up there. Let's set an alert. We'll just say look to go short. Look to go short. All right. Let's look at Euro USD. Well, actually, we'll look at pound dollar first, the cable. Okay. I do occasionally trade this. Okay. It looked like we were going to try to put a W in. See this? But then we just didn't get the continuation back to the upside. Down. Okay, sort of making our W here. We started back up. Let me look. Does it make sense? Pretty close, right? We have a drop, base, drop right here. We didn't quite make it there. Put that in, and we'll just watch it. Make it pink. Okay, you see that? Pretty strong drop. Base, 2 candles, strong drop away, continuation. All right, so when it gets back up there and actually touches it, we would expect a bounce. Trying to see if I like anything down in here. Not a whole lot. Don't really like a whole lot right in through there. All right, so that's pound dollar. Now we'll look at Euro USD. Okay, obviously we're ranging. So see here, one of the last times we were on here, we talked about this and we got a drop away. Okay, that's why we drew this in. So probably would enter right below that wick, 0.832. And then you probably would have got out down here, 0.790. So 10, 42 pips, right? 42 pips, that'd be a heck of a trade right there. Okay, now you're ranging again through here. It's a little bit bigger range though. A little bit bigger range. Let's see, from like here to here. About like that. I'll draw it in. Not really the best. And what I mean by not the best, it's just that it's big. Okay, I don't like my ranges to quite be this big on a forex play. I like them to be more like that right there. Okay, but I'm just going to draw it in. Helps to have a visual. Okay, so you'd be looking for sharp breaks out one direction or the other. Coming back through here, I'm just looking to see if I see anything that jumps out. See, there again, there's another one just like we had here. This is where I like the range to be a little bit tighter, and then look at the drop. Once we had the break, right, and got below here, that's 1007, and then we probably would have got out when this started to reverse. So let's just say there, 936. So that's 64 plus 7 is 71. So you could have caught like 71 pips out of here. That's a heck of a move. 30 hour, 30, 2 hour, 2.5 hours. Basically 2.5 hours, catch 71 pips. Not bad. All right. Okay, so that's Euro USD. We'll look at a couple more. Let's look at Euro JPY. You can see here, came into demand, we bounced again, then we flushed through, down, over here. Okay, let's look, see if there's anything that jumps out to us. Don't really like this up here as a supply zone. It could act as some resistance. I don't really like it as a supply zone. And coming over here, nothing fantastic. So we don't want to force it, right? We don't want to force it. Okay, here we got a shooting star off of resistance, off of a decent move. Decent. Okay, you'd like to see these all be green on the way up and then get the shooting star. And so far, it's not really paying off. And look, you had the 200 right here. Okay, so probably not a high probability trade. I'm just looking to see if there's anything in this recent price action that would have made for a great trade. Right now, I don't see it. All right, so we don't want to force anything. That's why we have all kinds of things that we can look at. Let's look at Aussie dollar. Okay, we'll look at Aussie dollar here. Look at this, up into supply, got a nice bounce back down right to the 20, and then the second time we went right up through. And this, I want to show you, this can be scary when you're in a trade, right? So let's just say you're one of those people that, now this was technically up into the 60s, so that's saying more than likely you're not going to make a big move, although it did make a pretty decent move. But look how far it went in. It didn't quite poke out the other side, but if you're one of those people that like to enter as soon as it enters in supply and you put your stop up here, you're sweating that one out, aren't you? You're sweating that one out. Let's see, that's a 33 from 49. That's a 16, so you'd add probably a couple of pips. That's an 18 pip stop. If you're like 2 pips outside of here, and look how close it came. Right? You'd be watching that and you'd be saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to get stopped out. I'm going to lose, 18, 20 pips wherever you put your stop. But then look what it did. Then it reversed and came all the way back down to the 20. Okay, so from here, 33 to 06, okay, 20 something pips, 20 something pips, but that'd be scary. And again, I'm not saying, and I don't think I did take this trade. You're going to look here and you're going to do your risk reward to risk, right? Okay, so that's an 18 pip zone, and then you would come from here down to the 20. And you would say, okay, 33 to 02. So at this point, you would be saying, I'm risking 18 to make basically 30. Does that give you 3 to 1? No, it doesn't. Okay, so for me, I would probably skip that. Plus, when we entered, we were above 60. So if I was taking the filter is basically saying don't go short, or else if you do go short, it's going to be a smaller trade. So is the risk worth the potential reward? We know it's not even 2 to 1. 18 pips of risk for 30 pips potential of gain. So you got to be able to quickly do that in your head when you're thinking about one of these trades, right? If your alert went off and you've got to make a split-second decision, am I getting in now or am I going to wait? Well, if you're going to get in now, you got to do that math in a hurry. Okay, 18 pips, and then you'd look down here and say 30 pips. Okay, I'm not even getting 2 to 1. Is it worth taking the risk? I'm also over 60. I'd probably just move on to the next trade. Let's look at the Aussie yen. See if there's anything here that really stands out. No. Had a little bit of a double bottom right here. Okay, that may have been signaling, plus your RSI was moving up, so that could have been signaling a move. All right, could have been. Although most people who play a double bottom, where are they going to look to enter? They're going to look to enter on a break up here. So how much of this would you have caught? 35. And then when it started to reverse back down, you'd probably get out somewhere here, conservatively, 81. That's not terrible, right? That's not terrible. That's like 40, about 44 pip move. Okay, so not terrible. Now I don't normally trade a double bottom like a traditional person would trade a double bottom, because they're not going to look to enter until you're breaking the W part here, right? That's where the traditional trader is going to get in. I'm hoping to find some signal down in here that gets me in and I catch more of this move. That's just me. All right, and let's look at, we're going to look at maybe Aussie CAD, and this will probably be the last forex name we look at. All right, Aussie CAD hanging out up here, right around this resistance level, which it's broke above, but now it's using as support. Had this nice fall here. Okay, that'd be nice to catch something like that, but I'm looking, did we really have any trigger up here? I mean, I'm not seeing anything. Well, we did have an inside candle right there. And yeah, we had an inside candle. So somebody who plays this regularly, maybe they take the bottom. Okay, your first T1 is probably here, but it went right through it. And look at that setup. I wasn't even really paying attention. Look at this. Ain't no wonder it had this kind of move. Look at this right here. Man, is that candle structure set up for a big move or what? All these small and medium-sized wicks lined up in this nice diagonal pattern. There's no wonder that this thing dropped the way it did. There's nothing over here to stop it. And once it got going, it just kept accelerating and accelerating. Then finally, let's see, why did it catch support where it did? 84.95. So we got to come back across here. And now we got to find 84.95. 84.93, 94.95. Okay. Maybe over in here because of this right in here. Okay. Maybe you could say that's a little basing area, drop. Okay. Then it started back up, and you could say maybe this is a little basing area. But getting back over here, that's why I want to look at these things from a price action standpoint. So if you're somebody who's scalping or day trading, and this is a name you look at a lot, and you're sort of watching, right? You can't watch everything, right? But I'm just trying to show you. Here was where the price action play was. Inside candle. So you're waiting for either the top or the bottom to get taken out. If we take the bottom out, it's really good for us because why? Because we're already under the support. Okay, so we take the bottom out here at about 85, 89. Then look at this setup. That is gorgeous. That is an absolute phenomenal setup for a strong move. And then look what price did. I mean, your only concern would be the 20, and it just blew right through there, and it just kept accelerating to the downside. If you had, 7 pip trailing stop, you wouldn't even, none of these wicks are more than a couple of pips. You would have caught all of that. 7 or 10 pip trailing stop. So let's just see what it was. Okay, so what did I say? 85, 89. And then down here, 84.97. 3 plus 89. That's a 92 pip move. 92 pips. 30 hour, 32 half. 2.5 hours, 92 pips. And even if you had, say, a 10 pip trailing stop, you would have caught 82 pips. That's beautiful. That is a price action trade that we all dream for right there. Okay? You should ingrain that in your mind. You know, maybe take a snapshot of it. I'll stretch it out just a little bit. Okay, let me do this. All right. Inside candle, spinning top. Spinning tops and dojis are like the best inside candles. Took out the bottom. We have awesome candle structure over here. Small to medium size wicks. For those of you who are new, what that means is every time we take out a wick, it starts to accelerate price because it's only big wicks that are typically going to stop you, right? Or maybe a combination of several medium-sized wicks together. But these small to medium-sized, when they're lined up in a diagonal candle formation like this is what the result is. This is how you form a big move, right over here. And if you come over, look, so once we get here, same thing. Right there could have been potential, but you probably had so much momentum by the time you got here, and then you just easily take all this stuff out. And then there's a big drop. Then we drop down. Let me squeeze it back up. Then we drop down even more. So really, I'm looking at this the wrong way. You probably, even with a 10 pip trailing stop, you would have caught 90 pips because this is 100 pips from here. And so if you had a 10 pip trailing stop, none of these topping wicks are more than a couple of pips. Nothing would have stopped you out. You would have trailed this all the way down here, and then it would have bounced back 10 pips, and it would have stopped you out for a 90 pip gain on a simple price action play. All right, let's go back. Let's look at the market one time, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, market has really sort of stalled out, and as you can see, volume's really falling off, which it's 11:15. It's about that time of the day. I mean, we look over here, this is what's normal, so we're not even getting normal volume. We had a great first candle, we had a really nice second candle, and now volume is just really falling off. Now, it doesn't mean you can't get big moves, right? Doesn't mean that you can't get big moves. We've already proved that. But what it's showing us is the institutions, they're done for now. They may come back in later in the day. This could be institutional money. It is. You're over 5 times average volume on this candle. That's institutional money, right? Down here, they're gone. They've done their work for the morning. Now, your hope is if you have any afternoon plays, is that you get this in the afternoon. They come back in, and it's going the direction that you're wanting it to go, or you got a trigger or setup or a signal. So if price starts to go your way, and then you start to get a green candle, okay, again, for me right now, and I may adjust this. Already looking at it, I may adjust that to 3 times. I have it set at 2.5. I just started playing with this weekend, and obviously the market was closed over the weekend. I was just doing some back testing. On this, and I know, because I know several institutional traders, both retired and current, and I know that a lot of them, they use this as a gauge. Again, they're not trading. It's just like my friend who told us to try this. He just uses this as a filter. Institutional traders, hedge funds, prop desks that use the, let's call it unusual volume or high average daily volume, meaning you're over the average daily volume, or this isn't even daily. We're looking at it on a 30-minute time frame. You're just looking to see where is institutional money coming in. Because if they're coming in and it's the same direction that you're going, that's a good thing. Now, if they're coming in and it's going against you, you better get out of the way because you're not going to be happy, right? So I'm just making this up, but let's just say your theory was a downside move here, And once it started to come back the other way and you started seeing this volume increasing, you better get out of the way if your theory was to the downside, because you're not going to stop a train, right? You got to get off the tracks. And you see the move. That was a big move for that opening candle. Then we had good volume on the push back down, right? And then we pushed here, and then we came back up. Okay, we just sort of lost our steam right now. Just sort of lost our steam. Okay? All right. Okay, Sonny, you're welcome. Everybody, thank you so much. We stayed on a little bit over today, but hopefully you guys got some value out of it, and I will see you guys in the room. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.